Hey Vault Hunters, JV here, and today I'm sharing my wish list for the upcoming Moxxi's Heist DLC. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for more Borderlands 3 videos just like this. It's December 11th, which means we're 1 week away from the first piece of DLC for Borderlands 3. This is the first of 4 campaign DLCs coming to the game, and it will set a precedent for what we can expect moving forward. While we wait, I've thought of 5 things that I really want to see in Moxxi's Heist, a wish list of features that will take it to the next level. First is new skill trees. We already know we won't be getting a new Vault Hunter unless Gearbox changes their mind, but they sounded pretty sure about that decision. We also know that the level cap will not be increasing from 50 at this time. So what I propose is to give us new skill trees for each Vault Hunter. Borderlands 3 launched with a lot of variety in playstyles through the skill trees, but in this day and age, I feel like with games being updated constantly with new things to do, we need more. There's still a lot unexplored within Borderlands that could make sense, especially with each of the characters. Maybe Flak could get a new pet. Maybe Mose could get an Iron Bear ability that allows her to hover in midair and rain down from above. Maybe Zane could get a sniper build. I know a lot of people expected that, but it ended up being Flak on launch. Borderlands is a creative franchise. They can definitely come up with new stuff, new ways to play with these existing Vault Hunters if we're not going to get an entirely new Vault Hunter at this time. I can't remember where this was mentioned, but either in an interview or during the Borderlands show, the producer, I believe, the game director, Randy Varnell, talked about a few ideas that didn't quite make it to launch or things that evolved over the course of the development, particularly with Mose's arms. They didn't really come up with the idea to attach each of the ability skills to left arm and right arm on the Iron Bear until closer to launch. So maybe rehash those ideas that never made it to retail, play around with some ideas that didn't make the cut, and repurpose them for DLC. Skill trees lend so much to the overall experience in Borderlands, a lot of mixing and matching and optimizing. That is the name of the game, and so having more of those options will only be a good thing. I would love to see a brand new replayable game mode in Moxxi's Heist. Outside of Bloody Harvest and Maliwan Takedown, there's no single game mode that balances something that's really fun, but also something that's really rewarding. Circle of Slaughter and Proving Grounds are okay. I mean, I get it. Circle of Slaughter is supposed to be the arena mode of Borderlands 3, but it feels dull because it wasn't given enough care and attention. It feels kind of tacked on. And Proving Grounds is the time trial arena that is just okay. I mean, it doesn't really reward you for the amount of effort it takes to get all of the objectives done to get the maximum reward for loot. It's like you can do that, but it's really not going to reward you for all that hard work. Give us something like Moxxi's Underdome Riot from Borderlands 1. A mode that is wrapped into the story somehow and is replayable so we can go through this thing over and over and not get super bored of it. Considering this DLC is going to take place on a floating casino out in space, there could absolutely be something totally ridiculous like an arena mode, maybe full of Jack's Hyperion loaders that are just thrown at you over and over. Something that Moxxi's Underdome Riot did so well is the randomization. There were a lot of little modifiers similar to what you get with Mayhem, but within the arena itself that would change the way you play every single time. And the great part was this stuff would cycle after every round. There were 5 rounds and it would change after each one and progressively get more difficult. So I get how Mayhem kind of apes that in its own way, in a different, it sort of packages that idea and then presents it in a different way, but it's still not the same. And we just don't get that in current form with Circle of Slaughter and Proving Grounds. I get it. Odds are we're probably not going to get a new arena mode as I am suggesting or describing exactly, but some kind of new game mode that's replayable, that offers a rewarding experience after multiple times would be awesome. Next on the wish list is something that changes the meta, whether it's an item, a class mod, or a gun, or maybe an entirely new mechanic that you find on all of the guns, something that mixes things up from what we're used to right now. A game like Borderlands 3 gets stale when nothing changes. It's chock full of content and the replay value is really high considering this is mostly a single player game, because you're replaying on different characters and farming for the best loot, and there are different difficulties. You guys get the picture. There's an established meta, and since launch, things haven't changed a ton. There have been a few updates to mix things up, but new content is a more organic way to approach this, in my opinion, to truly flip things upside down or tweak things more realistically to make us play in new and interesting ways. That's what I want. I want another reason to come back and experience Borderlands 3 in a new and exciting way. So give us legendary class mods that provide a new mechanic that we haven't seen before. Give us something like Terror. I thought Terror was a fantastic idea from Bloody Harvest. It wasn't as good or as impactful as I thought it should be, but give us a mechanic that we only find in this DLC. I thought they were definitely on the right track with that. If Gearbox goes this route, it will make Moxxi's Heist relevant long term. It'll affect the rest of the game. Think about taking, a mechanic that you find only in this DLC. It's unlocked at level 13. Let's say you play through the game, you've never played it with Zane. So you go through, you decide to make a pit stop on your journey to defeat the Calypso twins and do Moxxi's Heist. You get that weapon or that class mod that has that unique mechanic, it'll affect the rest of your playthrough. And doing that alters our priorities and changes the way that you play the game. And so that, in my opinion, is the best way to go about it. Give us some endgame relevance as well. If this new mechanic is really good, it could shake up the way we look at how we're building our skill trees or what we're prioritizing in terms of stats. Whatever it may be, change up the meta. Give us something new. Above all else, what I really want from this DLC is for it to be memorable. When you ask veterans of the Borderlands series what their favorite DLC is, they usually say 9 times out of 10, it's Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon Keep. And I agree, it was so excellent and memorable as an experience that I'm never going to forget. It was so unique, and it took an idea of going kind of with a medieval backdrop and theme, but also delivering some hard-hitting emotional stuff about the characters that we've known and grown to love. It's really hard to place those expectations on this DLC, and especially so considering this is the third mainline Borderlands game. But I have faith. Surely they learned that there's a reason people love that DLC the most. So I want them to teach us more about the characters that we already know, introduce us to new ones, but make us care, We don't really care about characters that we're only gonna meet and think about for 3 hours of this however long DLC it's going to be. If they're throwaway characters, make them one-liners, joke characters. Gearbox does a really good job with those. But if you're gonna introduce us to characters we should care about, show us why we should care. I'm not really holding on to this hope, but maybe we could see a surprise appearance from Handsome Jack's hologram. According to decisions made in the Tales from the Borderlands game episodes, he could still live on as a hologram. Gearbox has said publicly in an interview before Borderlands 3 came out that he'll never return as a character, but we know Jack is central to the plot of this DLC. Even if it is just the memory of him, or even if it is just pre-recorded holograms programmed to appear as we enter, who knows? He could show up in some form or fashion. This DLC already has, at least in my opinion, an interesting theme and backdrop of being a casino. And what I want them to do is play on the gambling aspect as much as possible for several reasons. The first and probably most important being money becomes a non-factor in Borderlands after a certain point. Once you've bought all your SDUs and increased the capacity of all your weapons and your backpack and your bank and your lost loot, so on and so forth, it basically becomes useless. You even stop picking up weapons to sell because that was really the only reason to pick up weapons you wouldn't use was to sell them. Make money relevant again. Give us valuable things to spend our money on. Maybe you'll revitalize and revive a mechanic that pretty much, like I said, becomes useless after a certain point. Obviously, we're going to get slot machines. We've seen them throughout the gameplay preview, and we should just assume, given the theme of this DLC, but those are nothing new. We've got slot machines on Sanctuary. I'd love to see some goofy live fights where you're betting on a match between two Hyperion loaders, or playing some poker, some kind of card game, maybe roulette. Other games that you'd find at a casino. I actually want to be able to play those things, spend my money, and again, have a small, maybe a remote chance to get something cool. Taking this idea even further, let us wager our money in an arena for an element of high risk and high reward. Give me harder enemies to face if I bet the maximum amount in any given round, throw random enemies at me with random mechanics, and then give me an awesome reward if I'm able to pull it off. Gambling is as old as time itself. There's an endless amount of ideas already out there that they could, refashion and refit for Borderlands in a interesting, unique, quirky Borderlands way. That's it for my wish list. I'd love to know, what are your priorities with this DLC? What do you want to see the most out of Moxxi's Heist for the handsome jackpot? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Before we sign off on this video, I just want to let you guys know we will be returning to regular Borderlands content with this DLC and into the foreseeable future. It's something that's done really well, relatively speaking, for the long life cycle of my channel. So we're going to stick to that. I'm gonna have a really fun time with it, and I hope you guys are excited for more Borderlands 3 videos. If you enjoyed this one, hit the like button and remember to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss another video. Check the description for links to my social media and to join my community Discord server. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.